Have more on those particular stories for you a little bit later on at the top of the hour, in fact, because right now Prime Biz begins right now, and we turn to the wall where Francis is standing by with an interesting number. 2.05%. I have no idea what that is.
So often we look at the rand or the overall market. This is one sector. The number of the day relates to the glittery stuff, in a sense, gold. And that's because the gold miners did very well today, rising by this number, more than 2%, after the Supreme Court of Appeal granted a postponement of the appeal in a silicosis and tuberculosis class action suit. Now, attorneys wrote to the court suggesting that thousands of sick miners and the 6 gold mining companies involved in the legal battle were close to an agreement, and that's a big relief for investors in the companies. The gold mining firms had already set aside around 5 billion rand for payouts, but given that millions of workers went underground in this country over decades before dust issues were dealt with, there was a concern that the number of claims could rise. Silicosis, of course, caused by breathing in silica dust that affects the lungs and can lead to TB. Lawyers representing mineworkers began to gather claimants for the class action suit in 2011 after the Constitutional Court ruled in a landmark judgment that a former mineworker could sue for more than 2.5 million rand for compensation for silicosis. More recently, the court said there could be a separate class actions, one for silicosis and one for tuberculosis incurred from mining. The gold miners had appealed, and that was to be the next leg of the legal battle that was to be heard in March. Now, after today's postponement, Anglo rose by more than 3%, Anglogold and Harmony by more than 3.5%. The other respondents, Goldfields and Sibanye, rose marginally, but African Rainbow Minerals, also involved, that fell into the red. Now, this also affects our miners, and remember, there's been a long-mooted idea that when miners do very well, they are charged for super profits, they're charged a super tax, and then, of course, the country can benefit when they're not doing very well. Well, a sovereign wealth fund, and that's the idea, it's being seen